Good evening and welcome to Thankful Thursdays with your presenter, Fiona Salmon.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Thankful Thursday. I am your host, Fiona Salmon. A warm welcome to viewers on Facebook and also on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. Uh, if it's your first time here, Thankful Thursday is a platform which provides useful tips, advice from entrepreneurs, professionals across various disciplines. Today, I'm joined by agricultural entrepreneurs Sheldon and Shanice Grant. They are the force behind the brand Nature Inspired, largely known for their castor oil and also their Scotch bonnet peppers. Nature Inspired is a beacon in the Jamaican agricultural industry. The, fo- the focus of today's discussion is breaking the stigma around farming. Before we dive into the discussion, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel Fiona and Friends. As always, Thankful Thursday is sponsored by Yonia Distributors LLC, the company that distributes my Barrier stainless steel sets and also my motivational t shirts featuring the title of my book, It Will Be Long But Not Forever. Now, let's get focused on the interview. Welcome, Sheldon and Shanice. How are you doing?
Hi, we're good. We're
We're
good.
good.
Thank you so much for
Thanks for having
You're
us.
most welcome and thank you for being here with us. Let's get started. Um, let's get back to the roots. Where did you both grow up?
Well, let's start with me. I grew up in this community called Hagley's Gap. It's a rural community in St. Thomas in Jamaica. It's literally at the border between St. Andrew and St. Thomas. And as Jamaicans would say, back of God.
At the
So
foot
we're
of the
at
Blue
the
Mountain.
foot of the Blue Mountain.
Oh,
Shanice,
awesome.
on the other hand.
And I am a nice little country girl. I grew up in the hills of St. Catherine in a community named Boys Content. So that's where I'm from, St. Catherine girl.
Oh, awesome. So country meet town, right? I guess so. So how did your
Country
upbringing how did
meets
your up
country.
oh his country. So country meet country. So how did your upbringing shape your journey into farming?
Yeah.
Start.
Farmers, mainly. That was the main source of income. But as you know, there will be small farmers in the rural areas, and that is how they would make their living. Um, Seeing that and being a part of the farm, I actually grew a love for it. But as you know, parents in that situation, they wouldn't want to see their daughter coming up in that as well. So I still had to go to university and to advance myself. However, I still had that love and I had to come back to it regardless of where I went on the general professional sense. So I still had to come back to it.
And for me, even though my parents were not um, full-time farmers, my father still had a bush. Appreciative of that fact that the farming process played an important.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So, Janice, I noticed on your Instagram profile, I see where um your nails are always nicely done. Tell us how do you manage to always have your nails well done, but you're good at what you're doing, and that's picking your peppers or just let us know.
As a farmer, we have the typical stereotype of what a farmer should look like. I'm a farmer, but I'm also a professional woman, and I'm a wife and a mother. My husband
Mhm.
likes my nails. My daughter loves them, so I still have to play that role. And it doesn't affect me at all. I've gotten used to them. It's like an extension of my fingers. And a lot of people even think that I don't do work on the farm because of my nails. But as your program says today, we're looking to break the stigma around farming. You can look like what you want to look like. You can wear what you want to wear and still be a successful farmer.
That's right. That's right. Um, Also, Sheldon, I know that you do a 9 to 5 job as well. How do you manage doing a 9 to 5 and doing farming on the side? How does that work?
Well, farming is not
In the meantime,
it's
that
just
may
as
go ahead.
Okay, so the main issue is time, and for the both of us, we both have 9 to 5 jobs. We both have professional 9 to 5 job that is as demanding as farming is. So we are the main challenge is to find time just to even as a family, and so it's really a talent. I want to say it's a skill for us to juggle all the activities on the farm as well as at the job and as a family because we have a daughter as well. So it's just how we work around and having good time management. And as you can see, we're in transit. So we just have to do what we have to do. We're always on the go.
Always on the go, always busy. Uh,
Yes.
You're tuned into Thankful Thursday. I am your host, Fiona Salmon, and today we're speaking with Sheldon and Janice Grant. And they're a powerful couple in farming and behind the brand Nature Inspired. And we're discussing how their journey is helping to break the stigma around farming in Jamaica. Thankful Thursday is sponsored by Ionia Distributors LLC, the company which distributes my barware stainless steel sets and also my motivational t-shirts that feature the title of my book, It Will Be Long But Not Forever. Be sure to get yours and also while you're at it, get it for a friend or a loved one. And it's available on Amazon. If you already subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you so much. Continue to share it within your circle, far and wide. Thank you so much. So let's get back into the interview with Shanice and Sheldon Grant. Walk us through your typical farming process. How long does it take to grow peppers from planting to harvest?
So Scotch bonnet peppers from seed, it would normally take 6 weeks for the seedling to get to a stage of transplanting, and that's when you move from taking it out of the trays and putting it in the ground. So that's a 6 weeks marker there. And then once it's placed in the ground, it would take up to 12 weeks to get to maturity. So if you were to take it from seeds to
Mm-hmm.
maturity, that would be around 18 weeks. That's roughly 3.5 months if you were to look at it like that. So that's the process really. They're very sensitive, and so the care is very important, the nutrients as well as how you do your daily checks on the plants as well. Do you have anything to add?
So it's really after it gets to maturity at that 4.5 months mark, that's when you actually start reaping. And while you're reaping, you still have to ensure that you care for the plant, providing the necessary nutrients, managing pests. As Shannon says, Scotch bonnets are very sensitive, and you could basically just lose a field if you're not like current with what's happening and taking the necessary steps to kind of protect it from the environmental factors that would affect it.
Thank you. So, Janice, what were some of the hurdles you faced in setting up your farm? Was access to land one of them?
All right. So when we went into farming initially,
Yeah.
we had no idea of um basically what we're doing. So it took a while for us to. It took a lot of trial and error. And that meant that we lost a lot in the beginning because we just
Mm,
went in and started planting. And so we learned a lot along the way. And because of those learnings and the fact that there wasn't much information available initially.
yeah.
Well, there was some information, but not readily available. That is why we decided to actually start our own social media platforms to kind of share the lessons that we learned. The
Awesome.
challenges that we faced, mainly land, access to land.
Mm,
It's very difficult to find land that has irrigated lands that's suitable for agriculture. You have to consider that there's water on the land. You have to consider that the soil is good
right.
enough to
Mm,
plant peppers. You have to consider even facts like security, um, the risk of predator larceny, and even your own safety. You have to consider
mhm.
those things.
Oh,
And then
wow.
there are challenges like learning about the crop itself, because as you know, we've decided to kind of try to learn Scotch bonnet specifically,
Mm-hmm.
and so challenges in learning the crop, um, learning about the different pests that would affect it, and how we treat those pests, how to identify the different pests or diseases, or even some of the simple errors that we would make as farmers ourselves. So sometimes we would notice the leaves getting yellow or something like that, and then we're thinking it's a pest or a disease. But it's just
Yes.
human error. It's just us probably spraying something that's too strong on it. And so the main challenges I would say, access to irrigated lands, and
Mm,
then even getting good planting material to work with, like quality seeds and quality seedlings, to ensure that your crop get that initial good start. And then the challenges with the pests and diseases that we still have to try to manage, which is both costly and also takes a lot of time and takes away from your production and therefore your profit.
with all those challenges coupled by harsh weathers, and how does that slow your season down, and how do you get through in those tough times?
Well, fortunately for us, we're both from the climate or weather background field.
Oh,
So we have
awesome.
knowledge in that regard. And there are products out there that you get from the national body that is responsible for weather and climatic data distribution. So we can use those products to your advantage. But not being said, we were fortunate enough to be on a plot of land that is irrigated, and so um, the advantage of always having water is to our benefit, and so that's how we solve that issue. There are other environmental factors that we can't control at the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
it's within our plans going forward to see how best we can move into a position or get an infrastructure that we can curtail or minimize those environmental factors.
And I'll just add that it's funny that you asked that because recently we post everything, the downs and the ups. So we don't try to hide anything negative that's happening. And so persons would see a lot of negatives happening to us, like losing a plot or getting infested by pests. And somebody actually asks, how do we stay motivated to continue even after all
Motivated.
this? Yes, and we have each other. So
Oh,
usually when one of us is ready to give up, then the other one is there to say, okay, let's give it another try. And then we are heavily faith-based. So we
yes.
usually say, if it's happening, if God didn't want this to happen, it wouldn't happen. He wouldn't allow it to happen. Even if he's not causing it to happen, he would not allow it to happen. And so that is how we kind of comfort ourselves moving forward. And again, just leaning on each other for that support.
That must be an awesome feeling to work alongside your partner in that time. He knows you best. He knows all the signs of you giving up. So that is awesome. How about the challenge
Yes.
of how about the challenge of financing or the challenge of getting workers even to help you on the farm? Is that a challenge as well?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, finance wise, because ultimately we want to leave the 9 to 5 and go fully into farming. That's where we want to get. But at this time, we can't do that because the farm is not where we want it to be able to take care of itself and take care of us. And so that is why we have to stay employed. And so that's where the finance comes from now. And as you know, that would still have its limitations because we would still have other things to do. We have a child, we have other things doing. So we can't just dedicate all of that funds to the farm. And so it comes down to prioritizing. And that is why we both have to stay employed to ensure that we have enough to pump into the
Resources.
farm, right, while still living the sort of life that we would want to live. And as it relates to labor right now, it's just us. And
Oh,
periodically we get people to assist with like reaping or weeding in some cases. But labor is well, good labor, the good dependent labor that's effective and efficient is hard to find. And so right now it's just us. And we have to use those stolen moments, those evenings after work, the weekends. We no longer have those free
Holidays.
holidays to just ensure that whatever is there to be done, we try to get it done as quickly and effectively as possible with the time that we have available.
And I must add that even though it's a male dominated field, um,
yes.
most of our labor are females.
Yes.
Oh,
They think
Yes.
it's males, but females.
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
With all those challenges that you encounter, what unique practices or innovations have you adopted to boost productivity and quality?
Well, as young entrepreneurs in the farming industry, um,
Not
oh,
business as a farm, but as a
well,
business.
as a farmer, we have adopted this concept or idea that farming is more than hobby. It's actually a business. So over time we have explored and utilized various instruments on the farm. So when we started out, we saw an opportunity to utilize a drone to spray. That helped with the whole overall pest management. We used that a couple times. We have invested in a soil testing kit that we use to have an idea of the soil nutrient constituents. We have invested in an electronic microscope that also allows us now to identify the different pests on the plants. And we have also, yes, and so we'll be better able to treat them because now you can actually target the actual pest that is affecting the plant. And we have also invested in things that assist with the pH of the water and the solutions that we have. So that's how we would have invested in technology that would assist with the overall operation on the farm.
And all these things would have come about based on a need, an identified need. So for example, when we started out initially, we had severe issues with weeding.
Wow.
Weeding is very labor intensive. We don't have labor. So we found out about plastic mulching, which covers the soil, so it kind of hold on the weed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we invested in that. So now, whenever we plant, we use some sort of mulching, whether organic or plastic mulching, because it really eliminates that. Well, it does eliminate, but it reduces significantly the dependence on labor for like weeding. And as you know, we don't have that much time on the farm every day. So we have to be strategic in what we do. And so that is how we would add the different things to the farm. And just to highlight that these are not like big technological things, they're small things. but they have a big impact because being able to control your weeds, you reduce the input cost, you reduce the cost for labor, your plants get to grow better, you reduce even pests coming into the field. So
That's
some small things can make some big differences.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And after this break, we'll definitely get into the sectors where you serve, your general business, relationships, and more. So you're tuned into Thankful Thursday. I am your host, Fiona Salmon. Today's guests are Sheldon and Shanice Grant, and they are the power couple behind Nature Inspired Brand. And we're discussing how their journey is helping to break the stigma around farming in Jamaica. Thankful Thursday is sponsored by Ionia Distributors LLC, the company which distributes my stainless steel barware set and also my motivational t-shirts. It will be long but not forever, featuring from my book. Make sure to get a copy, and while you're at it, make sure to get a copy for your friends and your family. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe right now. If you're watching, it's Fiona and Friends, and make sure to tell your friends about it, spread it wide and far. Now, let's get back into the interview with Sheldon and Janice Grant. How has climate change affected your farming operations, and how have you adopted?
The impacts of climate change for us, it's mainly dealing with issues like drought, heat stress, and the
Excess rain.
excess rainfall. And there are secondary effects that would come from those primary um, impacts. So things like how the pests would regenerate themselves,
So for example, when it's hotter, the pests
Yes.
they have a short what's that now?
incubation.
Incubation period. So they come they breed faster than they would if it was extremely hot. Um, they like during times that are very hot, the peppers would be they would struggle, like they would be stunted, they would be growing
Oh,
very slowly. Um, but for us, drought is not very significant because we do have irrigation. But the heat is a major issue. Scotch bonnet pepper does like heat, but it's still within a range. If it's too hot, it's going to affect them.
yes.
Um, and then excess rainfall, it causes flooding. So once the plant floods, it's direct impact on the plants. And then that there's fungus that comes with too much water. So then we have to it increases cost of treating a field. And it does have the immediate impact of destroying the trees themselves. So like for example, last year, you can expound on that with
Sure.
beryl and since
Well,
all the rainfall.
so during burial, and just to make this point that with the irrigation comes with um we have a nutrient plan. So we target the nutrients that would go to the plants based on the stage of the plant. So you at the early part you have more nitrogen and phosphorus. At the maturity stage you have more potassium that will help with the fruiting. However, um after burial you had like 6 months of extended rainfall every day or every other day. So even when you were to give the plants the ideal nutrients, once it rained, all of that nutrients would get washed out the soil. So the plants were struggling, and we actually lost an entire acre. That's around 4,500 plants that we had to just abandon because they were stunted. The yield, there was no yield actually. And then it was just not at the ideal stage actually. So those are some of the issues that we would have, even though it might not be a direct impact from climate change, but the secondary effects are as significant.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a lot of challenge, a lot of challenges that you guys really experience, and sometimes going through all of that, and at the end, does it worth it financially for you?
Um, to be honest, it's not even to say it's worth it financially, but you know that you're in a field that is something that you love. Yeah, you're in a field that has the potential to grow to where you want it to grow. And we're using the time now to increase our technical expertise so that
Yes.
when that day arrives, we can now seize all the opportunities around. So
Uh,
Awesome.
it's stages.
and we've had successes. We had successes. We've had losses. It's not all losses. We've had fields that have done extremely well, exceeded their expectations. But then we've had a field and it was doing extremely well. But then the rains came, and once the peppers are ripe during the rainy period, you need to reap. At that time,
Storage.
we didn't have well, we don't have storage. So
Oh,
usually once you reap, you need to sell.
Access to
And we
the
didn't have
factory.
access to the to the local factory as yet. So we did lose, even though it was doing well. But as Sheldon says, it's about the lessons. Each time we do it, it gets better. And like now, the main challenges we have now are the things that are out of our control. But otherwise, we've learned a lot. Technically, we I think we understand peppers well now. So it's just to figure out how to control the environmental factors.
name some of the current customers or business partners and how those relationships evolved.
Okay, so as it relates to the business part, we have a three-tiered system. Within the first, let's say, 6 weeks from
Okay.
maturity, we would target exporters. So there are exporters who would take your peppers and do the actual exporting to North America and do
Wow.
the distribution. So we have that. That's the first tier. The second tier
Mhm.
is local higglers, where they would actually agree on a price with you and they will do the local distribution in Jamaica. And then the third tier are processors, factories, people who make sauces, and different restaurants. They would actually take the pepper. However, with the three-tiered thing, the exporters would normally fetch the highest price, then the
Yeah.
higglers would be in the middle, and then the processors at the low end. How we have established this system is over time. And
Locally, yeah.
once we established a social media presence when we started, we found out that it was not a problem with the product that we had. We just didn't have enough
Enough
product
product.
because the market
Oh,
is
wow.
so big now that we are not producing enough to feed the market that exists.
Wow. So you have quite a bit of demand, but the supply is very limited.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
Now that I'm assuming that now you want to cut out that middleman and go directly to do your own export. What new markets are you hoping to break in, whether it's local or internationally?
Well, well, you're right. We do want to have our own, um, well, to cut out the middleman.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are looking into getting our own export license, so that
Oh,
we are able to do our direct exports and to work with the distributors within different countries. Like um we're not leaving anybody out. Wherever wherever it's available, we will do it. And we've had a few persons also encouraging us to do a sauce for ourselves. So we are actually experimenting with that now, and
that's
we're
awesome.
hoping to find a blend that would be representative of our brand, and then we can distribute it.
Wow.
And just to add to that, if there is an opportunity overseas where persons would want that direct export opportunity from us, then having that existing structure overseas, we would have to just work on the Jamaican um, processes to get the license. But if there's an opportunity to get access to
Yeah.
markets within the US or England, then yes, that's an opportunity that would help with
Okay, you
overall distribution
mentioned
of our products.
the US and England. Is there any other region that you would want to tap into other than England?
Well, the world is our place, so we're not limited to anywhere. But I think the North American market is probably one of the largest that would take a lot of our fresh produce. The Caribbean is coming up as well, so that's an option, and a lot of persons would have reached out to us from the Caribbean as well. And surprisingly, a lot of
Mm.
persons would have reached out to us from even Middle East, in Sri Lanka,
Oh.
India, Africa.
Mm.
Person would have contacted us to say that they would really want some of our peppers.
Yes, so social media is not all bad, it's good too.
So it seems like you do have a lot of demands for your Scotch bonnet pepper, but how do you handle competition and what makes your brand and products different? And you haven't touched on your castor oil yet, so dive a little bit into it as well. So,
So we started out doing castor oil. We
mhm,
get our seeds from a place called Albion Mountain that's in St.
yes.
Thomas again. It's a very lovely place, I must say. All the ladies up there, when they see us coming, the castor bean man, they would run and come and bring all their beans. And I think those are, I must mention them because they would have contributed to most of the beans that we have, that we would have
Wow.
extracted the oils from.
But it's important to point out that when we initially started looking for land,
Yeah.
it was really to do castor beans, and then we veered
Mhm.
off into peppers somewhere along the way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're tuned into Thankful
But there was
Thursday. I
another
am
part
your
in
There's another part
host.
of the question.
Oh, yes. I was asking you earlier about how do you handle competition?
Oh yes, yes, yes. So how we handle competition? Well, we welcome competition because it
makes them
keeps
better.
your spear sharpened. So it makes you better. But
Mm,
just to be clear, the reason why we're going behind the brand Nature Inspired is um the concept is to build a brand that connects with um a large audience, and it affords them to see the emotions and the process that we would have um injected into all the products that we have. So castor oil, Scotch bonnet peppers, and to all the other products that will come. So they can see and have a better appreciation of the the human side to the brand. So the effort now is to build Nature Inspired as a brand and to reach as many people as possible across the globe. So that is the first thing. The other thing, competition, is that we are always thinking every day within a conversation. We're thinking about new ideas. We're experimenting with a lot of new stuff. So if you see us in one space today experimenting with one crop, best believe that we are thinking about 10 other crops down the road
wow.
next week. So we're always ahead of the actual market trends. And so
Mm.
that is the edge that we would have over all the competitions right now.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. You're tuned into Thankful Thursday. I am your host, Fiona Salmon. Today's guests are Sheldon and Shanice Grant, the farming couple behind the brand Nature Inspired. And we're discussing how their journey is helping to break the stigma around farming in Jamaica. Thankful Thankful Thursday is sponsored by Ionia Distributors LLC, the company which distributes my stainless steel barware set and my motivational T-shirt. It will belong, but not forever. It came from my my book title. It will be long, but not forever. So if you don't have a copy yet, please go out and get a copy via Amazon. And for those who are listening on Facebook, welcome again. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please go ahead and click that notification, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend as well. And thank you so much if you already subscribed. Thank you so much. Continue to share the content wide and far. And I want to say, let's continue with the discussion. But before we do have a few listeners and documenting with Manda. Hi, how are you? Good evening, everyone. And I also see Julian topping in as well from his hospital bed. Hi, how are you? Thank you. Thank you for joining and thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get back into the discussion. You have applied digital innovation to help you grow your business, particularly in training. Describe the impact on your ability to connect with existing customers and attract new ones.
So the main reason why we started social media, and we're on all platforms. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I think TikTok is probably the biggest of the three. It was mainly because we wanted to document the process that we are going through as it relates to farming, but also we wanted to show others information that would assist and to reduce some of the challenges that we experienced while we started out. And with that, we have grown so much to the point where the persons would have reached out to us, surprises us sometimes, based on their location, based on their status in society, based on their intentions. We're talking about not just small farmers. We're talking about big farmers. We're talking about persons from, as I mentioned earlier, Sri Lanka, Africa, persons who do exporting, persons who are just starting out and they want a good example for not just Scotch bonnet peppers, but other options that they want to invest in. So the channel now is at a stage where it can be viewed as a teaching instrument, basically.
And it has also, from the other side, it has put us in touch with persons who already have the experience, and they're now willing to share some of their knowledge with us. So we have learned a lot from different people who reached out, persons who have done it before, who have the experience, and they are just now willing to share with us. So it's not just that persons are learning from us, but we are also learning from the people that are listening to us. And I find that, like, that very fascinating, that people are willing to share their information with us, some that they would probably hold dear to their heart, and we are benefiting from it as well.
Where do you see your business in the next 5 years? And what legacy do you want to create?
I mean, for starters, we're on this channel tonight. I must give you recommendations for that. So I think this is one of our short-term goals to get this conversation and discussion. But in the medium to long term,
Yes.
we want to be known as Scotch bonnet pepper farmers in Jamaica, in the region. We want the brand to be recognized as a trusted source of good information as it relates to farming, and a, 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 a brand that represent high product output. And so persons can trust and rely on our brand of delivering good quality stuff. So that is what we're trying to aim for.
And the legacy that we want to leave, um,
Yes.
we want to change the face of farming. So we want persons to understand that farming is not just it's not just to be done as because you don't have another option. But farming can be a viable business. It's not a dirty job. You can be whatever you want to be and still be a farmer. You can look how you want to look and still be a farmer. Um, And also, we want to leave a legacy of good, accessible information. As I said before, when we just started, information was a real challenge. Um, and just having reliable quality information. So we want to leave that as a legacy as well. And we want to ultimately have an impact on the Jamaican agricultural sector in that persons are now willing to come into farming and to view it as a business and greater than just a backyard thing or just something that people do when they don't have another choice.
That's awesome. You mentioned that you want to be seen in the agricultural industry as a trendsetter. And also, are you open, say, for example, like the 4-H club, are you open like to have hands-on training on your farm, or you go to other farmers to teach them how to do it? Are you open to the possibility of doing that as well?
Yes, we would actually love to do that. Last week we did a school talk, and the teacher actually reported that girls are now talking about going into farming when they get older. So we are open to that, and we're hoping that at some point we'll be able to get to a stage where we can have demonstration plots. Persons can come in, and we can teach them things about farming that could be beneficial to them. So yes, we're very open to that.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So if you're listening, they're open to do to come to your farm to show you how to apply the right techniques on farming Scotch bonnet pepper. And finally, how would you advise young people who are unsure about their future in agriculture or other sector ain't sure what career path that they want to pursue? How would you advise them?
Well, from my end, um, I think agriculture should be viewed as a business option, a viable business option, and not just something on the side, not just an option that we're normally forced into based on what poverty situation we're in and what demands there are. It ought to be viewed as a option that
Mm.
can propel you to where you want to be. With that said, the more farmers, the more investment in agricultural opportunities or products is the better Jamaica is on the international market, because Jamaica produces some of the best quality products or fresh produce on the global scene. So having a country that increases its production footprint globally, it speaks volume at that stage. So that's what I would encourage them to see it as a business, you know.
And I would just add that um, the agricultural sector is wide. It's not limited to just farming. It's not limited to just farming crops. You have aquaculture, you have birds, you have livestock, you have production. So it's
Research.
research. So there are many areas within that field that you can go into, and I guess not just agriculture, but any field. And so I would encourage anybody: don't limit yourself. Um, just ensure that it is something that you love, and it is something that you can see yourself being motivated to do, whether they're ups, whether they're downs. Um, just ensure that it's something that you love enough that you can stick through it. Because in agriculture or anything else, the rewards won't come overnight. It will take some time to get there. So take the lessons and just improve on them at all times.
And finally, I think the I want to change the notion that anybody can be a farmer, right, by just existing and being a farmer.
That's
It is
right.
something that would demand education and demand learning and demand
Mhm.
experience. So, like any other business, there is a period where there's a learning curve
Mhm.
that once you're going into it, expect that it is something that you have to learn. And it's
That's
not
right.
something that you can just jump in and start making the millions. You know, it's a process to get to that
That's right.
point.
That's right. That's right. And always staying consistent is also another great key. And
Yes, yes.
with that said, Sheldon and Janice, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your passion with us today. Really, really, really appreciate it. You have crafted a roadmap for success in agriculture and life, which everyone can learn from. And before we close, where can everyone if they want to reach out to you on TikTok, Facebook, just give us all the handles where they can find you.
So we're on YouTube for starters. That's where we have our long videos going through various topics in Scotch bonnet pepper farming, and we do explore other crops that we would have planted like sweet corns or cucumbers. That YouTube page is called Nature Inspired Jamaica. Now
Mm,
on Instagram, it's called Nature Inspired Jamaica as well, but you might have to search for Nature Inspired OH. And then on TikTok, it's Nature Inspired Jamaica. And that's where we share all our videos, fun facts, shorts. You can name it. They're potent, good quality information, good quality videos as well. And the information is there. And you can contact us at our number on WhatsApp. It's our business number at 316-1591, and that's 876 area code. And
Yes.
you can email us at natureinspiredoh@gmail.com. And
thank
we're
you so
normally responsive.
Oh, that's true. Thank you so much. This is where we close Thankful Thursday. Thank you for tuning in. Remember now, we are on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're in Jamaica, it will be 6 p.m. Jamaica time. So don't forget to share to your family and to your friends once this video goes out, just share it away. Okay. Thank you so much. And as always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel Fiona and Friends and be sure to get a set of my barware set. It's almost summer, so make sure to get a stainless steel barware set. It's available on Amazon. And also, if you're thinking about getting gifts or get a t-shirt or get my book, It Will Belong, but Not Forever. In the meantime, I'll be back on May 8th with one more Thankful Thursday session. Watch all my social media pages to see who the next guest will be. So thank you so much, and I will see you on March 8th. Have a great one.